All right, so as you guys know, Jimmy Dore left the Young Turks completely 100% over back like, 3, 4 months ago, somewhere around there, maybe even longer than that by now, actually, because we're in August. So it may actually be 4 or 5 months or maybe six, but I think it's more 4 or 5. He left on what seemed to be good terms. I have a video up on him basically like talking about why he really left. So if you want to go check that out and find out, the real reason why he left, you can go check that out. But, this is something interesting. So this is a Young Turks video where they are covering the whole Chris Cuomo situation where there's like some troll who calls him Fredo. And then Chris Cuomo gets pissed and, a bunch of stuff like that goes down. So they're talking about this. And what they reference in this situation to sort of draw a parallel, to draw a comparison and try to explain basically the parallels and just, in a way of where he comes from on this issue. And if you watch the video on this, he's pretty much 100%, Cenk is pretty much 100% right on this issue. And so, we're actually we're gonna talk about this. He references the situation at the RNC, the Republican National Convention, during the, after the 2016 primary, where the Young Turks is there. They're covering, the convention, and Alex Jones and Roger Stone come in and they actually crash the show. They come on uninvited. They come on to troll. Alex weirdly comes up and starts like touching Cenk for no apparent reason, like incessantly. Crashing the show, taking it over, zero respect whatsoever, no cordialness. And then he brings up a shirt with Bill Clinton, you know what it says on it. And that was really, I think, where, that Cenk says it on here, that's where he got set off. And it makes sense why. Like, you don't do that kind of a thing. That's incredibly disrespectful. You're trespassing onto someone's show, and you're just being, overtly disrespectful. And that's not something that's acceptable, and so you're going to retaliate verbally, obviously, because that's what they're doing, What would you do if you're at a show, security's not doing anything for you, by the way, because you're at the RNC, and he's going to talk about this. You're doing a show, and then some troll comes up, crashes your show, takes over the show, and just does, just clowns around. Like, what would you do? They're trespassing onto your show and crashing it. It's incredibly disrespectful and outright unacceptable. So, Cenk actually defends Jimmy Dore for spitting on Alex Jones. So if you don't remember this, what actually happened, this is probably the most controversial piece of this whole incident here. This as well as Anna Kasparian's comment towards Alex Jones. But, Jimmy here, what he does is he literally spits on him. So I think he has, John here says it's iced tea, although to me it just straight up looked like alk. But I guess it's iced tea. I don't know. But he takes the iced tea. He takes a sip of it, then roams it around in his mouth, and then spits on Alex Jones. So if you don't remember this, let's check this out. This is as the whole it starts to escalate at this point, and let's see. So as you can see here, and Jimmy Dore kind of sneaks up. He sneaks up right here in a second. He's right there, and he spit on him right there. So as you can see in his hand, he's got a drink. He's got a drink there, of course. And he comes in, and he actually just straight up lets loose. And that's a heavy, again, it's not just like a spit. It's literally a combination of the drink he was having and, wishing it around his mouth and then spitting at Alex Jones. Now, this is probably the most controversial thing, and Anna's comment was as well. But, let's hear out Cenk here, and then we're going to talk about this.
And in that moment, he has that response. In fact, so let me just finish the thought here on the Alex Jones example. If you guys didn't see, although at this point it's a little hard not to have seen it if you've ever gone on the internet, when Alex Jones busted onto our set in the RNC, in the Republican National Convention, he was trespassing on the set. It was actually Google's set. We were doing the show on, and he brought Roger Stone with him. And in the beginning, I'm like, okay, this is annoying, but it's, what am I gonna do, right? And security doesn't exist at the Republican National Convention. It backs the thugs. And then we literally called security because they got physical, et cetera. And the cops are like, they're Republicans. I don't care. They didn't even kick them out. Yeah. So anyway, but then he put up this really offensive shirt, and that's what set me off, et cetera.
Yep.
And in the midst of that, I yelled at him, Again, shockingly, didn't do anything physical, although we got close. Anna said something to him that she, quote unquote, shouldn't have said, and then people have been criticizing her ever since. And they're like, are you gonna make her apologize? There is less than a 0% chance. Never, 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 never. Okay.
We were shockingly diplomatic. One of our members actually offered him iced tea.
That's right. That's right. Jimmy Dore offered him the iced tea that was in his mouth that wound up on Alex's face. And they're like, well, I mean, are you gonna make him apologize for that? Hell no. Never, never, never. And then they're gonna pretend that they're offended that this guy busts onto our set, breaks the furniture basically, throws stuff around, puts incredibly offensive stuff on our live on our air. And then you're offended somebody called him the wrong word or let go of their iced tea on his face.
It was
you're not offended.
Okay, so there are multiple things to talk about from that clip right there, but overall, what you can see there, well, actually, first I should say the fact that security doesn't jump in, because as you can see here, there's this is just utter chaos and madness. It's just utter chaos and madness. As you can kind of see here, it's just totally, it's like, look at this, dude. You're talking about just straight, just chaos and insanity. The fact that security is not there is insane. Security should have jumped in immediately, preventing this from even happening in the first place. I find it even more scandalous that Cenk there is saying that basically the cops did nothing or security did nothing. I guess because they were at the Republican, National Convention. That's pretty crazy and scandalous, if you ask me, dude. Security should have been there immediately, and the fact that they weren't was pretty slimy. That's the word I want to use. It's slimy, okay? It's really lacking any sort of ethics, any sort of basic, ethics is the best way to put it. Just really slimy move. But when Cenk there talks about, he's taking a sort of overall tone of these people are trolls, right? This guy's a troll. What I found hilarious about this whole situation was Alex Jones barges in uninvited, crashes the show, trespasses onto their set, and just basically, takes it over and does, incredibly disrespectful things on it. He wasn't invited, etc. I mean, he pulled out the shirt and all that. And then he walks out acting as if he's a victim. Dude, you just went in there, you just provoked that whole situation, and then you're going to come out trying to act like you're a victim? Are you trolling? Dude, you went in there, you literally crashed their show, and then you're going to come out trying to act like a victim? Who do you think you are? You are the instigator. This is all your fault. This is your problem. Now, the one thing where I think, is very, very controversial is where Cenk talks where he almost got physical. That I want to know your comments down below. I'm not really sure on that one, but and then he basically said he defends Jimmy Dore and he defends Anna's comment as well. So he defended Jimmy Dore spitting on Alex Jones. Now, my personal opinion on Jimmy Dore spitting on Alex Jones, I think it's fine, because I think that Alex Jones, he was the instigator there, and he trespassed, he crashed the show, and he's being incredibly disrespectful and unacceptable behavior 100%. That's one thing. Would be, as you guys know, what he's been in lawsuit over, and the horrible things that he's done to the victims, of the tragedy that occurred, and that's what the lawsuit is over. When you consider all of those, it's remember when Bush got the shoes thrown at him? Is there anybody on the planet who has any semblance of any morals or any of that kind of stuff or any empathy who didn't see the the Iraqi guy throwing shoes at Bush and be like, hit him, bro, hit him with them shoes? Come on, bro. We all know what George Bush did and what happened. Some people just deserve stuff like that. Alex is one of those people. So when you do, that to the victims of a tragedy what happened in SH, you're in a situation where you're a horrible human being, and on top of that, dude, look at what he just did right now. He 100% deserved that. So my personal opinion on this is, I'm fine with Jimmy Dore. In fact, you could argue this is peak Jimmy Dore. You really could. What's weird to me is that Jimmy Dore has done nothing but defend Alex Jones's. Now, I know it's always on free speech grounds, obviously, but, the sort of, what's the word I want to use? The sort of energy that he brings to it, and the sort of, just volume of energy that he brings to that seems to be really overbearing and sort of unexpected. And just, over exceeding any sort of expectation as to how much he would care and want to defend Alex Jones. But I don't know why that is, honestly. It's weird. But anyways, so he defends Jimmy Dore doing that. I want to know your guys' thoughts on this down below, as to whether or not you think he should have. Now I know it's controversial, but I think it's mildly controversial. Oh, by the way, I want to also add Roger Stone, who's in this video, who is like in a sort of heated back and forth with Cenk Uygur, is now facing trial, and he's most likely going to be going to prison. No, most likely. I was reading about a report recently, a couple weeks ago, came out. He wanted his own indictment thrown out. He had a motion for that. It got dismissed by a judge, so he's got no luck there. But Roger's in trouble right now. So as you know, Cenk and Anna and Jimmy are all chilling, doing their own things. Roger, not so much. Alex, what's he doing? He's getting sued. Up the behind. Oh man, karma is a B word, folks. Karma is a B word. So with that said, let me know your thoughts down below. Very, very curious to hear them.